Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because as you can see right now on this 1 day time frame, we are still in this strong downtrend here. However, we have already made that first touch into this big level of support on this descending channel for Bitcoin that I have been talking about for, months at this point. So now that we have made this first touch here, I think this next week is going to be absolutely critical for Bitcoin, because it could be the week where we actually come down to actually break this as a level of support or hold it and get a bounce off of there. So I think this next week is going to be very, very important to pay attention to what is actually happening in the charts, because as you can see on this 1 week RSI momentum indicator as well, Bitcoin is still in a strong downtrend and we are deviating quite far away from this 50 level here. So the lower we go on the RSI momentum indicator, the more bearish the momentum is going to become for Bitcoin on the 1 week time frame. So do keep in mind that there's a difference between the different time frames, because we can be bearish on the weekly time frame but still have small pumps in between on, for example, the 1 hour time frame or something like that. So do understand that those two things do not contradict each other. You can have bullish momentum on the lower time frame, for example, while having bearish momentum on the higher time frame. Either way, on this time frame, what I'm looking out for is actually a breakout above this descending line of resistance. And for us, this could be that early reversal signal that we are getting another significant leg to the upside for Bitcoin. But of course, I will keep you up to date on this if I see any changes here. But until that happens, we have to assume that the RSI is going to continue to trend lower and lower, making lower highs and lower lows. Now, if we take a look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin, not too much has changed since yesterday. We are still trading right on top of that 0.236 Fibonacci level, sitting at about 53.9K. So for now, this continues to hold as a level of support. And as I talked about in yesterday's video, we might be seeing somewhat of an exaggerated bullish divergence, which is when you have a horizontal low in the Bitcoin price, but you actually have a higher low in the RSI momentum indicator. But for me personally, the way I see this, it's like it's not really confirmed yet, because we haven't seen Bitcoin make a higher low in the RSI yet. For now, we are just seeing this little wobble here. We are yet to see an actual move to the upside after this. Although if you do see this RSI move back to the upside on the 1 day time frame, then yes, this is a confirmed higher low. And it would also mean that we either have an exaggerated bullish divergence or a regular bullish divergence. Now, of course, last week we saw a lot of panic in the market, people basically panic selling and everything like this. Personally, I am not feeling very fearful, so I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. But for me personally, I'm just sticking to this base case. And so long as I do not see it invalidate, so as long as we don't trade below the descending channel here for Bitcoin, I don't see a reason to be much more bearish here until I actually see this invalidate, right? Now, if I actually see it invalidate, then you will start to hear me talking about lower price action once again, potentially 48K. If we lose that, we will go lower once again. We'll start talking about really the low 40s here for Bitcoin, if that actually happens. But so long as it doesn't happen, then I'm just going to sit here and say the same thing that I have been saying for months here for Bitcoin, which is so long as we are trading inside this descending channel, it means that we can simply go to the bottom of the range and we can go to the top of the range as well, because Bitcoin is just in this consolidation pattern for now. And my base case, as I said many times previously, is still that so long as we keep trading inside this range, that at some point we are coming back to the upside. And I don't know if it will be exactly the next time here we reach the top of the range, but whatever, at some point we are going to break out of the top of this range and grab all of this liquidity to the upside. I will dive deeper into this liquidity here a little bit later on in the video, but that is at least the way that I am personally viewing the markets right now. And of course, as we know, September is typically a bad month for Bitcoin. If you are not familiar with this data, then just go check out my X account. It is in the video description, and I tweeted it somewhere recently. Either way, September is typically a bad month for Bitcoin, so it wouldn't be crazy to see, we had this here, a big move to the downside, and to just chop around this low here a little bit around this 50K level, because there is some bad seasonality for Bitcoin around that August to September timeframe. So that is another thing that is playing into my current analysis of the market, where I'm like, these are just very bad months for Bitcoin, historically speaking. And I think it would be a mistake to like panic sell your Bitcoin in the worst performing months for Bitcoin. Now, this is not me giving you personal financial advice. I don't know what situation you're in, but for me personally, at least, I am okay with taking on a little bit more risk, because I made a lot of money trading this range here, buying these lows of the range and selling at the highs of these range. So I have a lot of profits to play with without putting my own actual capital at risk, right? But either way, I do think that at some point we are coming back up to this liquidity here to punish all of these people that are shorting Bitcoin in a bull market. Now, another thing, and then I'll move on to the lower time frame, is that a lot of people are saying that this isn't a bull market. And I've been reading this more and more often as we have basically been in this descending channel for about 6 months or so. And I'm hearing people say that this is not a bull market, okay? Now, what this tells me is that they haven't been around for very long. Sometimes Bitcoin just doesn't do anything for months. Although I guess people weren't around at that time to experience it. So maybe this is like their first bull market and they joined in 2024, which is like right here. So they got a little bit of upside. And then after that, they've been seeing like 6 months of consolidation, basically. And therefore, they say this is the worst bull market ever, when this is their first bull market. Because if they just look back at previous bull markets, they only look at this. Like, let me show you this 2019 example here. So this is from June 1st, 2019 to June 1st, 2020. So this is a full year here of just trading sideways. And people, I guess they just skip over this data and they will only look at this and say like, this is the bull market, But at the same time, you have this, which is also part of the bull market, because the bear was right here. Like, this was already the bull market, it's part of the bull market. And sometimes Bitcoin just trades sideways, especially after a big move to the upside. So here you can see about a 400% move to the upside, and Bitcoin just started trading sideways for over a year here. Now, what do we have here today? We have basically the same thing. We see Bitcoin moving up close to 400%. And then if we just take this date range here, now we are just trading sideways for about 6 months. So is this a strange thing to see, or is it just how markets behave, that a lot of people are going to be taking profits, selling their Bitcoin, and some people will be accumulating their Bitcoin if they are late to the bull run here? But just because you are seeing, let's say, a 30% move to the downside here after a 400% move to the upside isn't a crazy thing to see, in my personal opinion. And besides that, if we just compare this cycle, which you can see in black here in this chart, to the 2018 to 2022 cycle, so this was the previous cycle right here in green, we are basically at the literal exact same point in terms of return since the bear market low at the exact same time, right? So we are doing the exact same thing as the previous cycle, but somehow people are looking towards this previous cycle as if it was much better than the cycle we are in right now. Now, one other thing you may notice, and normally I keep this type of analysis for the members only videos. So if you are interested in this type of longer term analysis, then you can become a member to get access to these videos on my YouTube channel, but I don't upload these videos very often, so be ready for that. Either way, what you may notice is that if I just get rid of this 2018 cycle, if I just get rid of the cycle before that, so we're just comparing the cycle we're in right now and the cycle before that, you may notice that, yes, we are at the exact same point, but there was still quite a bit of bull run left here, and this was obviously not the top. Either way, what you may notice, though, is that, this cycle already lasted longer if you only count the first top. Then the cycle before that, we had an even longer bull run. And then the cycle before that, we also had a longer bull run than we had right now. So the only thing that is shorter than the cycle we currently have is the actual first cycle from Genesis to 2011. And personally, I think it's ridiculous to look at this cycle as a comparison because Bitcoin went up 60,000% in comparison to, let's say, 400%, right? So it's a big difference. And that's why I always exclude these first two cycles, because we cannot compare this current cycle to 50,000% gains, obviously. To me, this just looks like normalization for Bitcoin. We are basically just trending towards what the average is after we got this big move to the upside way ahead of what we normally see for Bitcoin. So now we are just normalizing back to these previous cycles. And again, as I said many times here for Bitcoin, so long as we hold this descending channel as a level of support, I think we are going to be fine. We might need a little bit more chop, but at some point, I think we are coming back up to the top of this descending channel. Now, if we take a look towards the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps, and if we zoom out to the 1 year time frame for Bitcoin, so all of the price action of the last year, you can see that right here we have a lot of liquidity to the upside. However, I also hear people talking about this big level of liquidity right here at about 25,000 US dollars. Now, if you think Bitcoin is going to 25K, then be my guest and open a short position that you are going to hold until 25,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. Either way, this has been today's market update. It was a little bit different than what I normally do, but I just thought I would give you guys something new here on a Sunday, So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you like this type of video, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.